now I'm at the point you want to be with me. I'm vibing out at a higher frequency, cause everything that I want and I'm gonna be, it's when I wake up, that's when I start to dream. Someone you love is talking down, here is the plan. Let it fall through like a handful of sand. Nothing happens overnight, what you must understand. If you dwell on the bad, then you don't stand a chance. Something you want upset, saying why it ain't mine yet. That's because now you have yet to change your mindset. People don't put their mind to rest while they're so wired. A lot of people go to sleep and wake up tired. Power of positivity and persistence. Say that I can, we'll just sit back and witness. Make an impact when our time is done. Make money, help people, and have lots of fun. Whoa.
Welcome to Office Hours, hosted by legendary sports executive, entrepreneur, and investor David Meltzer, where the brightest entrepreneurial minds in business, sports, and entertainment get together to talk about success, failure, and everything in between.
I think a lot of people are burnt out not because they're doing too much. I think a lot of us are burnt out because we're doing too little of the things that really matter.
Essentially, to move on to be the next version of yourself, some aspect or some pattern has to die.
I think the inconsequential moments are the most crucial moments because they actually do have consequences.
Take a deep dive into the mind of some of the world's most impactful guests.
Just throw yourself into things head first and give it your all. Failure is part of the course.
All of us are committed to living a service-driven life, to leave the planet in better shape than how we found it. And I think that as much as we've chosen this path with our lives, that we were chosen for this.
To share their strategies and tools to dominate their respective fields.
You cannot lead people at something you've never done if you've never done it. It just doesn't work.
Understanding that we live in a place in consciousness where there are no limits.
Because everything that's ever happened to you has actually happened in your favor.
David Meltzer hosts Office Hours.
Years of Free Friday training on now every platform. We've come a long way, and we are blessed to be a part of the Breakfast of Champions as well every Friday. So thank you, my friend. I hope all is well, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Awesome. Sorry for putting you on the spot there. Right on. Well, we're going to do one of my favorite trainings, which is understanding relationships, the relativity and the criteria of how we relate to others in order to be productive, accessible, meaning accessible to others, accessing from them as well. And of course, having the ability to find the light, the love, and the lessons in those relationships. And before we get started, I want to make sure everyone knows we'll have our training guides and exercises. We have a new workbook with Jack Canfield, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, and I have a workbook, Creating the Life You Love. And so go ahead, email me if you want the exercises and guides on understanding relationships and that workbook, david@themeltzer.com. But before we get started with understanding relationships, I'm going to introduce the Nick Awam back from Dubai and Mr. Well-Oiled Machine. Go ahead, take it away before I get started today.
Happy Friday, everybody. I hope everyone has had
an incredible week. Doing a quick set of the room here. This is David Meltzer's Free Friday Training and Power Hour, whether you are joining us online or here live in the Breakfast with Champions community. As David mentioned, today's topic is understanding relationships. So David is going to guide us for the first half of training, and then for the second half, we will open it up for some Q&A. So again, whether you are live here on Clubhouse or online, make sure you are submitting your questions. Of course, if you are live here on Clubhouse, if you are in the audience, make sure to use the hand icon to request to join the stage, and we will bring you up. And if you are already on stage, please make sure to just drop a quick note in the chat so I can make sure that we pass the mic over your way. And David, before we get started with the Understanding Relationships training, I would love to do a quick review of where we are going to be. Of course, everybody can join the text community so they're getting the reminders. And that text community is just 949-298-2905. But David, would you like to guide us through the upcoming schedule, or would you like me to?
Look, I've given you a few weeks off from doing it, so quickly go through it. I'll be in Vegas this weekend, but take it from there.
Beautiful. So as David mentioned, Vegas this weekend. Next Wednesday, October 23rd, we will be in Chicago for the Aspire Business Tour with, David Goggins and Jesse Itzler, Tim Story, and so many more. Not only keynoting, but of course hosting a VIP dinner as well. So with love for everybody to join us. Next Friday, the 25th of October, we'll be back in Orange County for a mastermind with the incredible Bedros Killian. So please, again, if you would like to join us in person, just make sure to reach out. And then next Saturday, October 26th, we will be in Wise, Virginia at the Napoleon Hill Archives for a very, very special announcement, which I know this community is very excited to hear more about, David. And then, of course, that'll take us into early November, heading back to Las Vegas for the filming of season 7 of the Office Hours Apple TV show. So as a reminder, everybody,
I think you're missing the SoFi Mastermind as well. You only talked about the Bedros Mastermind, so we'll be in SoFi Stadium as well at the end of the month. I gave you a chance, and there's too much again on the agenda. For those people, just email us, david@dmeltzer.com, and we'll give you the exercises and guides, the workbook with Jack Canfield and I. But let's get right to it. Nick of Wam, my well-oiled machine. It's time to understand relationships, and nothing's more valuable in life and in business than our relationships. And we have certain attachments to relationships to empower entrepreneurs and leaders to understand their attachment styles to these relationships and use this knowledge to enhance those relationships in business and life. We need to develop self-awareness, communication, emotional intelligence so that anyone can move towards more secure, fulfilling relationships and to greater success in their entrepreneurial endeavors. Within the context of relativity or relationships, I utilize a criteria to know my own attachment to whether it's a blessing to bleed or feed in that relationship, the relativity of that person, and of course the association and attachment that I give that. The attachment theory is a framework that explains how we form and maintain these relationships using the criteria of bleeding and feeding, relativity, and association. It's one of the largest predictors of success in both personal and professional relationships, is how we understand this theory and framework that we form to build and maintain these relationships. It matters because understanding your own style of attachment in relativity, association, and bleeding and feeding can only improve not only your romantic and family relationships, but also how you build partnerships, how you negotiate, and how you lead in business as well. There's several key styles that I want to review with you to help you to facilitate what's best aligned with your skills, your knowledge, and your desire, how you show up in personal and professional relationships, and why it matters to entrepreneurs. The first style is one of anxiety. It's an anxious preoccupation style that so many people have. They have a fear of abandonment. They have a constant need for reassurance and insecurity. Usually They're pleasers. In effect, they don't like to receive. They are faced with a difficulty in trusting others. They often feel overwhelmed, especially when business relationships seem distant. What we need to do in this type of style, if you are one of these anxious, preoccupied people that are pleasers and constantly need reassurance and are insecure in your relationships, personal or professional, you need to build self-awareness, number one, to learn to trust your partners and colleagues and use effective communication to maintain a healthy style of a relationship. And so in order to do so, we need to get alignment, take action, and prepare for adjustments. And instead of having the FOMO, that fear of abandonment, the fear of missing out, we can turn that into JOMO, the joy of missing out, by utilizing and effectuating effective communication with others. The second style is one not of necessarily this preoccupied anxiety, but it's more of an avoidant style. Usually has a disorganized approach to it. Some key indicators are they have emotional swings between avoidance and anxiety, and it leads to great inconsistency. And inconsistency is the predator of creating void, shortages, and obstacles. The challenges that they face create difficulty in making decisions. It's very chaotic in its own nature. Once again, also mistrusting others, but has a much more unpredictable behavior in business. And so if we're dealing with, or we are more in the fearful avoidance, disorganized type of style, then in that relationship, we must focus in on several different things. One, regulating our emotional status, utilizing the stop, drop, and roll methodology. When our mind, body, and soul become on fire, disorganized, and have an emotional swing, reacting to fear with severity, instead of trying to go over it, under it, through it, around it, lie to it, cheat it, manipulate it, deny it, just stop, breathe, drop down to ease, and then roll back into a successful divine direction, allowing the detours that will occur to be divine in their nature, and detaching from the outcomes of which we don't understand or know or can't control into what I call divine time. This will help you develop consistency and address the root causes of the anxiety in your personal and your professional life. And so utilizing and understanding between the two different fears that we have, either the preoccupied, anxious, or the disorganized, fearful, leads us to the third type of style, which is a more dismissive, avoidant type of style. We see these people, they desire to be independent. They can emotionally detach from any situation and are reluctant to form deep bonds with people. And so they have a challenge for us to help with the difficulty in building trust and these deep connections with employees, partners, or clients. And to help that success, whether it's us or others, we need to help embrace vulnerability and openness while maintaining the independence that they strive for and through. It's easy for us to help reframe this self-reliance to work with, not against, other people, and understanding the collaborative, communicative, and coordinated movement in a healthy relationship by allowing the dismissive avoidance to dissipate and disappear. And then finally, the last style that we want to identify is a more secured attachment to things. These people are confident, they're emotionally stable, and very open and vulnerable. Their challenge, though, is to relate to or manage people with insecure attachment styles can be very difficult. They don't identify with the other three styles that are fear-based, anxious-based, and are closed or dismissive in their relationships. So it becomes very frustrating for the secure, attached individual in understanding their relationship. They like to lead by example with empathy, patience, and strong communication to help others develop secure habits and mindset. But they must also have patience and believe in the divine direction, the divine detours, and the divine time, all a common denominator of what we're doing. So what are the tools for entrepreneurs and leaders that we can utilize understanding relationships and the 4 styles of people in those relationships? The number one tool that an entrepreneur or leader can utilize is self-awareness and reflection. They need to understand which style each party in the relationship is utilizing and their participation in their perception and how it impacts your leadership and communication with those people, determined upon your understanding of their style. Also, looking at the clues and the patterns so that we can make better choices by identifying the patterns that may limit your success in the relationships or business partnerships. And so self-awareness and reflection are crucial tools for entrepreneurs and leaders to effectuate strong bonds of trust and productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. The second tool to utilize is emotional intelligence. We need to develop emotional regulation to manage the dis-ease, to build and dissipate the dis-ease in the relationships and enable us to have challenging, uncomfortable conversations that are pursuing the truth so that we can strengthen the bond by shortening the distance of resistance that we create through these different styles by utilizing wisdom and faith in order to shorten that distance of resistance, to dissipate, dissolve, even disappear the dis-ease that we create. It's actually counterintuitive to have these challenging conversations, uncomfortable conversations. In order to do that, utilizing emotional intelligence as a tool as an entrepreneur and a leader to enhance your ability to understand others and their style and respond with empathy in business negotiations and team management according to the style of the individual that you have identified and to manage the stress, the dis-ease, and those challenging conversations. The third practical tool for entrepreneurs and leaders is simply effective communication. To live in spirit, inspired, to learn how to express needs and boundaries clearly, especially with our colleagues, partners, personally and professionally. If we don't create these boundaries of what we can and cannot do according to our skills, knowledge, and desire, knowing I am not the FOMO or the JOMO or the FOPO or the JOPO, the fear of missing out, the fear of other people's opinion, but instead the joy of missing out and the joy of other people's opinion. Be a JOMO, JOPO, and learn how to express the needs and our boundaries clearly according to our skills, our knowledge, and our desires, and our timing and risk tolerance. Master conflict resolution through effective communication with others and your source, and build trust by fostering the vulnerability, honesty, the potential of the truth without triggering those other individuals, aligning with their style, not creating more anxiety or avoidance in those others, determined upon their style of attachment to relationships. And then finally, the fourth tool is to create those boundaries and set them appropriately. Understand how to set boundaries that align with your style of relationship and the demands of your personal and professional life, not looking for a weighted balance or a balance of any kind, but instead harmony according to the circumstances that actually exist today. by taking and learning the lessons from the clues, the patterns, to make the choices in a divine direction, making our detours divine in their nature and allowing for divine time to elevate our awareness to how we are getting to where we want to be or better. This harmony, this closeness with colleagues and business partners and personal relationships maintain their independence that you and they need to thrive. So how do we move now, understanding the styles of the relationship and the attachment that people have to each other, understanding the tools that we can utilize in order to effectuate, dissipate, dissolve the dis-ease that so many people put into their relationships, whether it's business or personal? How can we move towards a more secure attachment in a relationship, a more dissipated, dissolved dis-ease of comfortability and confidence in our relationships in order to effectuate the productivity, the accessibility, and the gratitude that we want to have in our personal and professional pursuits with others? Number one, we need to shift that insecurity to security. Techniques to gradually move from insecure attachment behaviors to secure attachment, to utilize patience, persistence, and self-compassion to both help other people with personal growth and business success. Remember, the fastest way to create security is to help somebody get to where they want to be or better, or ask them for help. This is the reverse Ben Franklin effect of becoming an investment of each other, of creating a neighborhood, a community with each other, of people who want to help each other and know people that can help each other for life, which leads me to the next way to move towards this security and comfortability in relationships. It's building lasting, fulfilling relationships, not only building a community of people that want to help each other and know how to help each other, buy from each other and sell for each other, but for life, to create secure, long-lasting connections with our partners, our colleagues, our friends, clients, by nurturing the emotional maturity and openness that needs to exist according to the styles, the tools, and moving towards or pursuing this security, this comfortability and confidence in our relationships and of each other. Encourage growth and security in those around you to foster a healthy work and personal environment, to create that neighborhood, to create an entire frequency of people that want to help one another and know people that can help one each other. And how then can we transform our relationships to transform our lives? Knowing our values is critical. Understanding our own values and aligning that with the people by understanding the style of their own attachment to relationships, the tools that we have, and how we create security, dissipate, dissolve, and disappear the fear, the anxiety, the uncomfortability that exists. We need to know our values and make sure that we align our values with other people, determined upon the three criteria. One, are our values aligned with those that bleed us and feed us? I used to think that we should, I had a saying, if it feeds you, feed it. If it bleeds you, fire it. That's not true. According to the style and the relativity and the association, we can determine if bleeding is a blessing or not. So our children will bleed us, but it's a blessing. Our parents will bleed us as they get older, but it's a blessing. Students will bleed us as we teach them. Mentees will bleed us as we mentor them. The athletes will bleed us when we coach them, but the bleeding is a blessing. And to feed others is a blessing as well. And so to align our values with those that bleed and feed and make sure that they are aligned, and that is determined whether or not we feed or bleed or fire them or let them fall away from our lives. And so knowing that people around us and surround us are the right people with the right ideas, we must know that they are grateful. to find alignment in the light, the love, and the lessons in every situation, event, or circumstance. 2, crucial that we align, that we are forgiving. If you want to dissipate, dissolve, and disappear the dis-ease, there is only one formula in which to effectuate the dissolution, the dissolving and dissipation of the dis-ease, and that is forgiveness. We don't forgive other people in their style of relationship. We forgive ourselves. We don't forgive others because they deserve it. We forgive ourselves because we deserve it. And we then can give what we have in our hearts, our minds, and our hands, which is forgiveness. Forgiveness will put us at ease. Those people that practice forgiveness and can forgive as close as they can the unforgivable, or another way to look at it is how big of a spectrum of spheres of influence are your forgiveness and how far does it go? Aligning people with the ability to have a participation in finding the light, the love, and the lessons give us divine detours. Forgiveness gives us divine time. Remember that money, it comes and goes, but time, it just goes. And in the relativity of these relationships, we know that time will go. Some relationships also will come and go, just like money. The third value that we need to align with in creating greater relationships and transforming these relationships to transform your life is accountability. We must be accountable in our relationships with the styles, the tools, and of course, the security that is created. Accountability asks ourselves in each relationships and the circumstances that don't turn out with outcomes the way that we want them to, we need to take responsibility and ask ourselves, what are we supposed to learn from this relationship? 2, what did I do to attract these relationships? People will date someone and it may be an abusive relationship, and then they say, I'll never do that again. And the only thing that changes is the form of the person, but it's the exact same relationship. And so we need to take accountability and ask ourselves, what did I do to not only be responsible and learn, but to be accountable by asking ourselves, what do we do to attract this relationship and what am I supposed to learn? Why do you keep attracting the same type of people in your life? What are you supposed to learn? Well, by looking at the style of the people to understand the tools that you have as an entrepreneur leader and the secured attachment that you have in order to transform yourself, you must learn to find the light, the love, and not only through gratitude and forgiveness, but accountability of responsibility and attraction. And finally, in perception. What am I doing to participate in the perception of how I deal with the relativity or these relationships, bleeding and feeding, association, etc.? What am I supposed to learn from my own perception of it, utilizing these tools in order to effectuate a better pursuit of your own potential of I am, not this is what I want people to think I am. No more FOMO, no more FOPO, fear of missing out, fear of other people's opinion, but just JOMO and JOPO, joy of missing out and joy of other people's opinion. And when we utilize these 3 layers of accountability to take responsibility, to look at the traction and the perception, we can learn more to heal those relationships, dissipate, dissolve, and disappear those. And then finally, the last value, which we talked about in each of the contexts of the style, that we utilize the practical tools and how we move forward with our transformation is the effective communication, not just effectively communicating with others, being vulnerable and honest and learning from what the gratitude, forgiveness, and accountability has brought us, but more importantly, to effectively communicate with that which inspires us, something bigger than us. We all have something bigger than us, an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing that loves us, protects us, promotes us even more than our own mothers. And when we can effectively communicate in spirit to others and through others, then we can transform our relationships and transform our lives. Looking at the takeaways of understanding relationships, the styles, the tools, and the pursuit of our potential to transform as leaders, entrepreneurs in our personal and professional life, understanding the harmony that exists, not a balance of understanding how we're utilizing the divine direction, divine detour, divine time in order to effectuate an abundance in our lives. We have to have attachment mastery that can unlock profound success, not just in our personal life, but in your entrepreneurial journey. We can understand the different styles of attachment that we can gain with powerful tools for enhancing our leadership, to utilize intelligence in following and listening for, to building better families, teams, communities, and neighborhoods of people who want to help each other and know people that can help each other, by forming stronger partnerships, greater bonds that are based off of trust, not fear, wisdom and faith, not ignorance and arrogance. And this path to growth is an understanding of ourselves and others, utilizing the criteria of bleeding and feeding and association and relativity to give us insights to develop deeper and more meaningful, valuable connections, of providing more of what people want, taking away some, if not all, of what they don't want, which will ultimately drive success in every area of your life, creating less dis-ease, more passion, more purpose, more profitability. If you can learn the styles, to understand the theories that of attachment, of dis-ease that exists, from the anxious preoccupied to the fearful avoidant to the dismissive avoidant to the secured attachment, utilizing the practical tools of self-awareness and reflection, emotional intelligence, effective communication, and boundary setting to move towards more JOMO and JOPO, the joy of missing out, the joy of other people's opinion, by shifting from insecurity to security and building lasting, long, fulfilling, profitable, passionate, and purposeful relationships in our lives, a neighborhood of people that want to help each other and know people that help each other. By aligning our values of gratitude to find the light, the love, and the lessons to give us the perspective, forgiveness to dissipate, dissolve the dis-ease into ease, accountability to understand responsibility, attraction, and our participation in perception to expand our own knowledge by learning lessons through accountability in order to effectively communicate, to live in spirit, inspired with something bigger than us, an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that protects, promotes, and loves us more than our mom. This is how we transform our relationships, through understanding and knowing to transform our lives. The path of growth is in this understanding of yourself and others. Use these insights to develop that deeper, passionate, purposeful, and profitable, meaningful connection, which will ultimately drive success in every area of your life. This has been the Understanding Relationships training, 25 years of free Friday trainings. If you'd like that guide or the workbook, or both, with Jack Canfield and I, of creating the life you love, we love to send that to you. David@dmeltzer.com, David@dmeltzer.com. Nick of Wam, if you're still there, the well-oiled machine, please reset the room and let's get on with the questions. Enough of what I'm speaking of, but instead what people are listening for is much more of a priority to me than anything else. Nick of Wam, reset the room, and we'll get started with the Q&A part.
Absolutely. We are just passing over what is halftime, everybody. So thank you so much for joining us as we continue throughout this Power Hour and Friday training with the one and only David Meltzer. Let's make sure we continue to invite all of our friends, family, colleagues, anyone we believe would benefit from this conversation. Of course, If you are joining us online, make sure to put those questions into the chat. And if you are live here on Clubhouse, again, if you're on stage, please make sure to put a note in the comments so I can pass the mic over your way. Or if you are joining us in the audience, use that hand icon to request to join the stage, and we will, of course, need to bring you up. Now, let's get rocking with some Q&A, David. I see we have our friend, Mr. Brian Swift, here live on Clubhouse, who I know is very excited for us to get back to Chicago next week for the Aspire Business Tour, as he will be joining us not only for the day, but for, of course, the VIP dinner in the evening. Brian, it's great to see you here, my friend. Happy Friday. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask David your question. Welcome.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, David, and all those that are here. David, do you think it's important to also set some to manage your expectations when you go into relationships, and manage your expectations to manage that FOMO and other type of FOMO things that we kind of bombard ourselves with?
Absolutely. And the form that we use in order to manage and develop expectations, because remember, it's not only managing expectations, it has to be developing, because as any relationship is formed or sustained or maintained, three things will change. And of course, nobody likes change except for a wet baby, which our head of media is learning that right now, because Justin Pugh had his first baby 10 days ago, and he's learning quite quickly. The only one that likes change is a wet baby. But more importantly, to manage and develop a relationship, three things will change: time, emotion, and value. And because time, emotion, and value changes instantly in the formation of a relationship, an agreement, a decision, implied, verbal, written, or even with consideration, with payment, because time, emotion, and value changes instantly, we need to constantly utilize boundaries and what I call a go, no-go plan in order to effectuate not only alignment, but the adaptation and adoption of alignment according to the time, value, and emotions of each day that change daily. And it's, I think, extremely, extremely necessary to continually communicate how the reengineering and realignment is occurring in a relationship according to the time, emotion, and value. Where relationships get separated, where they get or start to manifest dis-ease, is that we make representations in a relationship of commitments. And because time, emotion, and value changes, we feel guilty that we can't uphold or live to the agreements of a relationship. So we end up being late. We end up not showing up to things. We end up lying to people not to hurt their feelings. A variety of things occur that are easily solved by effective communication and boundary setting and managing and developing and expectations according to the circumstances of each day, and allowing people to change their mind, to not put up some sort of resistance where people feel as if they need to lie to you, cheat you, manipulate you, oversell, back and sell you with good intention. And so if we can not only communicate effectively according to the circumstances of each day, notating that the time, emotion, and value has changed since you told me you're going to show up to the VIP dinner in Chicago, or you'd like to come to the Aspire tour in Chicago with Goggins and Itzler, myself, and Tim Story, and many others. Well, we weren't anticipating you missing a plane or something being late or a better offer coming to your way. And all we need to do is be honest and set those boundaries and use that go, no go plan to allow ourselves to effectuate change, which nobody likes. But allowing people to change their mind and building boundaries so that you can change your mind according to the circumstances of the day resolves, dissipates, allows that dis-ease to disappear. And it is the relationship killer when people are not capable of managing and developing a vision and creating boundaries according to the circumstances, time, emotion, and value that change. Does that sound fair, Brian?
Oh, wow. It does. It does. That was quite a lot to take in, but it all makes sense. And it's just trying to align all that together, which comes with time and practice. But thank you so much for that in-depth answer. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Remember, alignment, action, and adjustment. That's the AAA strategy that we utilize. Go back, listen to the replay. I know I talk fast and sometimes download a little bit too much to take in too quickly, but it's there recorded for everyone to access. Go ahead, email us if you want the replay, david@dmeltzer.com. Get the exercise, the guide. That's there as well, or the workbook to create the life you love with Jack Canfield and I from Chicken Soup for the Soul. All right, Nick of Wama. Thank you, B. I'll see you next week.
Beautiful. And let's keep this Q&A train rocking and rolling, Dave. We have the one and only Colleen, who has been patiently waiting here on stage. So, Colleen, happy Friday. Always great to see you here. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
Thank you so much. I appreciate sorry if I have some background noise going on here.
What's up, Des?
He says hello to everybody. My question is, and one of the things that you kind of hit on today on the topic is the idea of insecurity. I am definitely someone that has struggled with that over the years. Feel like still today, words of affirmation are things that motivate me, change my mood, really just hit the love language for me. The question is around nurturing relationships. How do I know that I'm nurturing relationships that really are valuable, that are moving the needle for me, versus holding on to connections that may be playing into those insecurities or fear?
Well, you don't know, but what you can do is utilize the criteria to determine a prioritization of relationships. And so I myself suffered from the same FOMO and FOPO of allowing others without the criteria to make me feel a certain way that wasn't aligned with where I want to be or better. Example, I had some friends from high school that they were a couple years older than me, and I looked up to them in high school, obviously, as a lot of us do when we are sophomores and freshmen, looking up to seniors that are valedictorians and go to Stanford on scholarships to play baseball. And these guys were not only like big brothers to me, but heroes of mine. And through my life, I wanted them to like me. And I ended up, when I was a young CEO, hiring them for jobs they weren't capable for, thinking I was helping them, until, of course, the board made me fire them. And then they didn't like me anymore. It's a strange thing, but when you fire people, they seem not to like you for a while. Some come back, some don't. But each time I ran into these high school friends into my 50s, I was still searching for their approval. And I utilized and came up with this criteria because I couldn't understand how two individuals that had no relativity in my life anymore, none, could bleed me so much, where the blessing was not a bleed. And how I allowed a prioritization of, what they said, did, thought, felt, and believed about me mattered, and what they thought mattered. When the truth is, when I did an analysis of the relativity of them in my life in my 50s compared to the relativity in my life when I was 16, the association that I had in my life to them today, comparatively the association that I had going to high school with them, being friends with them in college and law school, and then hiring them, and then utilizing the bleeding and feeding and the blessing of bleeding and the blessing of feeding in order to determine what the hell was I doing? How was I allowing these two individuals to interfere with my potential, to make me feel bad about myself? And so I have found that these three criteria that I have built from my lessons of those two individuals that I wanted to please, that I looked up to, if those three criteria are not utilized in order to formulate the prioritization of who is most important to you, aligned with you, and surrounding yourself with them according to the topic, subject matters, and expertises that you want in your life, to develop neighborhoods and teams and sub neighborhoods and sub teams to determine what position you want to play on each of those teams, you will find that 80% of your relationships are not aligned with where you want to be or better. And that it's time to start pouring into not only relationships of the personal type, but 80% of your clients will bankrupt you because you're either breaking even or losing money on them. And if those were your only clients, you would be bankrupt, because you can't have only clients that break even and lose money. That will put you out of business. Well, emotionally, that may be true as well, personally as well. So I would say take inventory of the people that are relative to you according to the associations that you have with them, and then analyze the blessings of the bleeding and feeding, and then prioritize all the different people in your life accordingly. And you will find that you spend far too much time with 80% of those people that do not have the right ideas, the right energy, the right frequency. And you can then redistribute your attention and intention, your time, and start doing, saying, thinking, feeling, and believing with those around you that enhance and accelerate and aggregate the positivity of your potential. Does that sound fair, Colleen?
Thank you so much. Yes, another good lesson.
Good lesson, good question. And please give Des a hug for me. I can tell he was intently listening to me.
He is. He enjoys his Friday trainings.
Yes, good. And we start young now. Awesome. All right, Nick of Womness, we are in the fourth quarter, circling around, and hopefully you've learned the lessons of traveling with me to Dubai in a quick trip, and we have more questions than we know what to do with, my friend, so let me know where to go.
Absolutely. We are more than blessed with abundance, and we're going to keep it live here on Clubhouse, and then we'll go ahead and take a question from online. Does that sound fair?
Absolutely.
Beautiful. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to the one and only Robin. Robin, it's great to see you. Happy Friday. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
Thank you, Nick. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
Very happy to be here. So I want to bring up the topic of triggers with family. My sisters and I, we lost our parents at a very young age, and our father was an alcoholic. So there was constant verbal abuse. And here I am 12 years later, and I still can't talk to my little sister without her constantly being offended or starting fights. And I'm trying to figure out what can I do to help explain to her that I don't want to constantly live in this trauma survival mode, that we have to keep treating each other like this.
Yeah, this is a very common issue. Well, number one, family. They know how to push our buttons, number one, because they installed them. Two, people hold on to snapshots. And so just like we have social silos that determine a truth, their own truth, for example, on our platform, we have, over 100,000 people registered. And there's this woman on here that has her own social silo. And she's talking about, do you ever do anything without money on a free Friday training I've done for 25 years? Like, what social silo do you live in? What snapshot? So your siblings have a snapshot of you. No matter what you say, they're going to give the meaning according to the snapshot that they have of you. And it could be formulated from 12 years of abuse and the shared experience. And so we have to elevate our awareness to where somebody is at. We cannot change other people. We can only help to meet people where we're at. And instead of trying to create a change, instead of creating that resistance, what we want to do is ask questions. I love my open-ended question template. Because the first part of an open-ended question template is an open mind. And if you don't have an open mind because somebody has a closed-minded snapshot of you, you're wasting your time. And so you have to start by meeting them where they're at and forgiving yourself to allow your forgiveness to be shared with them. And so understanding not only the idea of pushing buttons from people who have installed those buttons, but understanding the snapshot, the social silo that information perspective is created of what they think of you, and whether or not there's any inkling of open or closed mindedness to changing that snapshot. Because as we've seen in the political elections, that the exact same thing is said, but according to the snapshot of the people listening, it's either genius or stupidity. It's either the hate or love. These are polar opposites. The words are the words, but people's snapshot of the person determine the meaning that they give what they do, say, think, feel, and believe. And so don't try to change the siblings who have installed the pressure points that we accelerate in the wrong direction with, and understand that we have to determine how open is the mind, and two, then asking open-ended questions in order to facilitate an alteration, a change in the snapshot perspective, so that they can give a different meaning to what you do, say, think, feel, and believe. That will help heal that relationship, and know that it will take divine time to heal, and that you cannot control or change your sibling's snapshot or buttons, and utilizing forgiveness and gratitude in order to effectuate dissipation of that dis-ease that you feel with your sibling is crucial. Be patient. Don't stop trying. Bring love and light to the resistance and dis-ease that exists today. Know that they have installed buttons, and two, that you have the ability to re-engineer the snapshots of the meaning that they're giving what you're doing, saying, thinking, feeling, and believing. Use gratitude, forgiveness, and accountability to effectively communicate that. Does that sound fair?
Absolutely. That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here and being so vulnerable yourself. And I personally know what that feels like to heal those relationships, having so many siblings and so many snapshots. It's tough to recover when you used to pin your little brothers down and drip spit until it almost hit their forehead, and then suck it back up when you were 17 years old. And now, almost 40 years later, when I'm saying something, that's the only person that they see is that idiot that was sitting on top of them, spitting on them. But anyway, we will all grow together, and these relationships are important to prioritize. All right, Nick, I won't do that to you. I won't spit on your forehead, but go ahead. Tell me where to go. We got plenty of questions.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and grab a question from online. I see the comments are going crazy, so let's grab one from there, and then we will come back as we have Vanessa, who's patiently waiting here live on Clubhouse.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Just a reminder, if you want the exercise guide or the workbook that Jack Canfield and I have written on creating the life you love, just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. We'll be in Las Vegas today and tomorrow, then Chicago next week, back to Orange County, LA, and then a big announcement at the Napoleon Hill Archives in Wise, Virginia on Saturday the 26th. So we are super excited about where we're going and what we're teaching. So I'm going to take a simple question, Nick, since we got 9 minutes here. What's something you wish you knew at 20 years old? Well, the something that I wish I knew at 20, I have to remind myself, because I wish I knew it at 30, 40, and 50, and remind myself at 56. And that is very simple, that the fastest way to get to where I want to be is to ask for help, to find someone who sits in the situation that I want to be in and ask them for help, and to find someone that I can help get to where they want to be. You see, the prayer that I have every morning is very simply, may God put at least 10 people in front of me that I can help, and may He put at least 10 people in front of me that can help me. The fastest way to get to where you want to be is to ask and know your who. See, once you know your what, you can find the who to get you to your what. And then the how becomes easy because you don't have to pay the dummy tax. You just have to follow the instructions and your guide and then customize it towards where you want to be or better. And now you have a basis with the what, the who, and the how to prioritize your now, knowing that 100% of the things you do now get done. It is absolutely the most statistically successful way to do it. 100% of the things you do now and do next, by the way, get done. Also, remember, 99% of all statistics, not that one, are made up. That's one of my favorite statistics. Anyway, all right, Nick of Wammer, let's go ahead and take our next question.
Absolutely. And I'm passing it over to the one and only Vanessa. Vanessa, it's great to see you here. Happy Friday. It was great seeing you a few weeks ago in Boston when we celebrated with, of course, JA Worldwide and their CEO, Ashish Advani. So thank you so much for showing up, and feel free to unmute yourself and ask David your question.
Hi, guys. I miss you. I miss you. But it's kind of cold. Notice that I'm running from one place to another, so I try to find like a warm place to talk to you since I heard my name. So real quick, saw your pictures about Dubai. What an amazing place. I think, you know, when we talk about different places, right? When we go from place to place to place to place, we get the chance to absorb the landscape, but we also get the chance to absorb the culture. And in the culture, there are relationships, and there are different relationships, right? I have people, let's say, from Africa who are very avid in terms of, let's go get this. Let's go conquer the world. But I also have people from Africa who are, I don't want to deal with that. I just don't want to deal with that. As a catalyst myself, it's hard. It's been hard to not be like this big energy and be like, come on, let's go conquer the world, but also listen to the birds, but also, you know, admire other things and add that, aggregate that to whomever we want to be or whomever we want us to surround ourselves. So, you know, so there are those people, in my opinion, and making it very short, there are those people that are here to absorb. There are, in my opinion, and I don't know, maybe David can add a little bit, I'm sure you can. There are those people that are here to absorb, just as much as there are those people that are here to watch, but then catalysts have to find the middle. Catalysts, I feel, have to understand when it's time for this and when it's time for that. Given, you know, all kinds of like healing, given all kinds of wounds that we have in our hearts. And the second thought that comes to me too is to add that when kids are around, right? You know, so a catalyst has a lot of trouble because kids are the catalyst in the moment, in my opinion, in my view, having kids myself. And the moment they're like, you know, okay, but I want my opinion to be added to your view, Mom. And wow, that's sort of like where I'm at in my life. Thank you. Thank you for the stage, and thank you for a beautiful room.
Thank you so much. And the only thing that comes to me and through me is the understanding of time. Time is a dependent variable to create the coordinated collaborative nature of relationships, and understanding that through time we can create harmony, not balance. And all of the different people that you mentioned in your opinion and perspective rang true with me to create harmony in our lives by utilizing time of what we want, not what other people want, what's missing, what we don't have, what we want each day, the 24 hours of the day that we're guaranteed each day, 24 hours, the only common denominator of the human experience. Each day, that 24 hours is granted to us, gifted to us, except for, as I always say, the last day of your life, you'll be cheated. seconds, minutes, and hours, but you will be cheated only one day of your life. Otherwise, you've been gifted 24 hours as a common denominator of your human experience, which is only dictated by that 24 hours and the circumstances that exist within that 24 hours to create harmony, more ease, not only for you, but for others, by identifying the dis-ease, the reaction to fear, the most instant and obvious thing that dissipates and creates interference between you and the omniscient and all-powerful divine of the divine direction, to create the detours that are divine in nature, to protect, promote, and indicate that you have a better place to be, a better position to be in, to allow for divine time, which is irrelevant and not even related to the 24 hours that is the human experience, but the infinite time, the infinite loop of more than enough time, more than enough of everything for everyone. And so what I suggest, according to those snapshots, and everybody has their own certain perspectives and opinions, as you suggested, is to know what you want according to the circumstances of the day and utilize your 24 hours each day in the divine direction, seeing the detours, the pain as an indicator that you have a better place, a better position to be in, to allow for that divine time to provide us the outcomes that we desire or greater. And if anybody would like, I have created 5 daily practices to help effectuate this harmony that exists each day in the reconciliation of divine time with man-made constructed time that is the only common denominator of the human experience. And so email me, david@dmeltzer.com, and I can provide you those 5 daily practices, the exercises and guides from understanding relationships. I have a workbook for everyone. Jack Canfield and I created a workbook to create the life you love. All of it is free, as we have done free Friday trainings for over 25 years. We celebrated exactly on the 25th anniversary last Friday, and here we are moving into year 26. And I could not be more grateful to be part of this community. Over 100,000 people register for this. Millions of people watch the replays. We are spreading the word on my mission to empower others to be happy. May we all live in abundance. There's more than enough of everything for everyone to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you, whether it be Las Vegas, Chicago, Orange County, LA, or even Wise, Virginia. We're going to be there, 200 cities a year. We're moving and grooving with free meetups, free holding courts, speeches. We have free Friday trainings. We have a group. We have one-on-one wait lists and business advisory available, determined upon the proximity and the value that I can provide and guaranteeing it. If you want to, go ahead, reach out, david@dmeltzer.com. If you can't keep up with us or you don't know where I'm going to be, because I don't know where I'm going to be, 949-298-2905, 949-298-2905. Text me. Nick of Wam, it's 7:00 on the dot. That's a well-oiled machine if I've ever seen it. Go ahead and close out the room, my friend.
Absolutely. And thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Just as a reminder, we appreciate everyone. Go ahead, reach out if you like our calendar of events. Like I said, we'll be in over 200 cities, being of value and of service to as many people that we can. Hopefully, you'll reach out. Get the exercise guides and books for free. I'll pay for the book and shipping, by the way, so don't worry about that. david@dmeltzer.com. Be a ferocious Buddha. If you want one of these, reach out to me as well. We'll send you the link. But most importantly, be more interested than interesting. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. We'll see you soon. Thank you.